Rachel, and today we are here to talk about Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. I don't have a copy yet. I will, hopefully for Christmas. But this is the gorgeous cover of Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. Oh man, I am so excited to talk about this. So excited. So Little Thieves is a Goose Girl retelling. I don't know jack about the Goose Girl, but it's not an exact retelling because I think the Goose Girl is about a princess and this is about a girl masquerading as a princess who she stole the identity of. Our main character, Vanya Schmidt, is the adopted daughter of Death and Fortune. Her mother abandoned her to Death and Fortune at a crossroads gave her over to the gods of death and fortune at a crossroads one night because she feared that Vanya was unlucky because she was the 13th child of a 13th child. This right off the bat sets the tone for how very fairy tale-esque this story is, and there are fairy tales woven throughout. And the abandonment also sets the tone for the story because this is really about a girl who is an excess, unwanted girl who just wants to be mothered by somebody. She becomes the goddaughter of Death and Fortune, but then after they raise her for several years, they tell her that you have to pick one of us to serve and then take over for. And she's like, I didn't want to be your servant, I wanted to be your daughter, so that's not for me. How about no? So instead, she starts working for a princess named Princess Giselle, and then eventually she takes Princess Giselle's identity. But that's not all she's stealing. She's also masquerading as Giselle, this princess, so that she can sneak into noblemen's houses and steal from them with no one be the wiser. Because she is saving up to get away from her godmothers because eventually they're going to ask her, all right, did you decide which one of us you're going to serve? She doesn't want to serve either of them. She wants to leave. She's one heist away from freedom, but then she steals from the wrong person and then she crosses a lower god, and the lower god curses her to either give back all that she has stolen or she has to slowly turn into jewels, rubies and pearls until she dies. So the lower god gives her 2 weeks and sends her own half-god daughter off to watch Vanya, and the half-god daughter, her name is Ragna, I think that's how you pronounce it, and she is not human. She's a delight. She's also very gay. Nope, I have to sneeze. So now Vanya has to deal with this half-god daughter watching her, turning into jewels and possibly dying in 2 weeks. Her godmothers who are constantly meddling in her life but never actually offer any help of substance. A rather sinister fiance who isn't exactly her fiance, it's Giselle's fiance, the girl she's impersonating, and a junior detective who is investigating the thefts that she is responsible for. So this book has a girl raised by the gods of death and fortune, a calculating junior detective who is almost Sherlock Holmesy. He's trying his best. Curses, magic, and a pantheon of gods that you've never seen before. Demi-rep both in the main character and in her love interest. Platonic friends, friends to enemies to friends again, and really just relationships of all sorts that were beautifully explored, including strained parental relationships, which was all of these were just beautifully explored, and I so appreciate the work that Margaret Owen put into making this because everything is just meticulously done and beautiful and nothing is extraneous. Everything has a purpose, everything is lovely, the writing is so good, and easily this was one of the most unique things that I have ever read. So between this and Iron Widow, these are 2 of my new favorite books of all time that I've just read this year, so it's really exciting. I think that Vanya is one of the best main characters that I have read, also Zetienne from Iron Widow, but we're not here to talk about that because I feel like the way that Margaret Owen explored how fear of abandonment presents itself through Vanya was so perfectly done. Vanya cannot trust anybody. She is terrified of abandonment. She just wants somebody to mother her, but she sees that in herself and sees it as a weakness because she's been abandoned by so many mother figures over and over and over in different ways. She has no capability of asking anybody for help because she's worried that that help will come with strings attached or that they will see her for who she believes she is and they will be disappointed. And her life is just really marked by this constant abandonment and fear of abandonment. She really is at war with herself because she just wants to be mothered, but every time an opportunity comes up, she starts to believe it and she's like, no, I was burned before, I'm not doing this again. And she chastises herself at one point in the book saying, even now I can feel a tiny voice insisting it was only when they were angry. They were scared. They gave you a place in their home. You could have worked harder, and it could have been worse, but that voice, it comes from a part of me that would forgive anything just for a motherly pat on the head, and if I listen, it will eat me alive. The way that this talks about not just abandonment, but also other emotions, like she talks about some abuse that she suffered through, and how sometimes when you are abused, you wonder what you could have done to prevent it. She says, some part of me has always looked for how I brought these things on myself. I missed a spot of tarnish on the silver. I missed the way the dame gripped her mead. I missed something and set them off, and if I could figure out where I went wrong, they wouldn't call me stupid or throw things or strike me. There had to be a reason for it. That made it something I could control, something I could hope to stop. It's the worst kind of relief for someone to say it was never in my control. I think that that is such a beautiful exploration of the thought process of like trauma responses. Like, all right, I am not going to set my abuser off and then they won't hurt me, because it's on me to make sure that I don't cause my own abuse. And that's just not true. You're not in control of your abuser. There's another part where, again, she doesn't think that she is trustworthy and also cannot trust anybody else. And it says, for all my schemes and facades and artifice, I am not prepared in the slightest for the simple, devastating intimacy of being believed. The writing, it's so good. I truly love her love interest so much. Emmerich is he's such a great character, such a phenomenal character. Someone I've never seen in a book before. He truly stands out. He like comes on the scene and you think he's kind of like this fumbling, nerdy idiot, but in actuality, like this is all a facade that he puts on, and in his own way, he is kind of just as tricky as Vanya herself. But he has like this very strong moral compass, and he's like, must do the right thing all the time. In fact, she describes him saying, I cannot believe I'm attracted to a human civics primer. And at one point she also says, I don't have it written down here, but it says, it's like a bunch of billiard cues unionized to form a person. That's how she describes it. And they have really funny banter because like she is so outrageous and he's like, you are a bit too much and I need you to rein it in. So at one point she says, she says, where's your sense of adventure? And he says, when it comes to stab wounds, on indefinite sabbatical. And then another point, she says, sometimes you just have to throw spatzel at the wall and see what sticks, Junior. And he says, you absolutely do not. That is how you get ruined spatzel. I can't tell you what spatzel is. I assume it's food. But he also is just this excellent person. Like he's just a truly good-natured person. And it says, at one point he says, I think that there are lives that make it easy to be good, or what most people call good. When you have wealth, status, family, it's easy to be a saint. It costs you nothing. I can't say if you're a good person or not, but the more I know of you, the more I understand that the world keeps making you choose between survival and martyrdom, and no one should fault you for wanting to live. Having that understanding of people in desperate situations will do what they need to do to survive, beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, I could also comment on like the friendships between Ragna and Vanya, and the relationship of forgiveness between the real Giselle and Vanya. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful book. And the sequel, I have such high hopes, because in the sequel, Vanya accidentally starts a cult. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Please let the arc gods be good to me. Like I asked for so little. That's it. That's all I had to say about Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. I mean, I could go on and on, but I will get coherent, so I'm gonna cut myself off here. This is a beautiful book. It's one of my new favorites. Please read it if you've read it. Talk to me about it down below. Like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.